Inside what is considered to be this year's biggest attraction at the 1999 In-Water Boat Show. It's an 85-foot boat, and I'll leave it up to Mr. John Phillips here, who is the owner. And please tell me what this boat is.
Well, it's probably the largest privately owned even in Chicago, which is where I'm from. I had it built in Italy, in Viareggio, Italy, and I used to go there every 6 weeks in order to make sure that everything was exactly the way that I wanted it. And as you can see, everything is exactly the way that you would imagine that I would want it.
Yes, and then some. This is a beautiful looking boat. Now, please tell me, what is this boat called?
It's called the Illusion because, frankly, when I saw the initial designs, I couldn't think of a word that would epitomize it. And I finally said, you know, it's not real. It's an illusion. And the builder said, that's a nice name. They said, what are you going to call the little boat up on top? I said, Reality.
That one I can identify with. How long have you owned the boat?
12 years, but within the past 2 years, I had decided to keep it. And I made some changes. I put new engines in, new ceilings, new furniture. All this is brand new. And then you know what came about. I saw another one in Europe, and I said, well, I spent a lot of money putting this back in where I wanted it, so now it's for sale.
I see. Can we ask the asking price?
Well, it's around $2 million, but that's very, very cheap, because if you wanted to duplicate it, it would run you close to $5 million.
All righty. Where have you been able to take this boat? What bodies of water?
It's been in the Atlantic. It's been, of course, in the islands, in Miami. It's been on the West Coast, in the West Coast of Florida. Name the city, and of course, it's been there.
How does it handle? Is it able to handle the rough water conditions pretty good?
Actually, this boat is easier to handle than some of the smaller boats. First, because of its weight. Secondly, because of the tremendous power that's in it. And thirdly, because we have instrumentation that makes it go almost directly ahead when everybody else is weaving in and out. We have a device on this boat called a bow thruster where you can literally move the boat sideways. And of course, it's got the most up-to-date electronics, which is what you would expect to find in something like this.
Well, the boat is in excellent shape. How many people maintain the boat and crew and drive it and what have you?
Well, there's 3 full-time, and I'm very handy. I was in the Navy, so I sort of like to help out. As I said, the boat is very easy to handle because of its weight, because it has a keel, because it has a lot of these instruments that make it possible to do that. And of course the personnel is experienced and knows exactly what to do.
You say you were in the Navy. Where were you stationed and what were some of the things you did?
I wasn't stationed. I was asked when I finished midshipman school where I wanted to go, and having been born in Italy and having been educated in the United States, I decided I'd go back to my homeland, and I said I'd like to go to Italy. And would you believe it? I went to Guam. And there are no Italians there.
Oh. How'd you do over there, okay?
Oh, I did very well because you're under orders. I mean, you don't have much of a choice in the Navy. You get orders and you follow them.
That is true. How many years were you in?
2.5.
Now, I'm going to have my cameraman do some panning around. We're in like sort of a living room area, I believe. We have some sofas and chairs and tables.
There's all this furniture that you see has 14 coats of lacquer, highly polished. This cocktail table and the living room table are not glass. They're crystal, pure crystal.
You have, it almost looks like from here that those are globes with the surrounding. They are globes. And I enjoy the goldfish decoration that's on this one glass table here. The goldfish that I see sitting there. Was that made by anybody in particular?
No, this was a gift from a very wealthy friend of mine who said I didn't have anything that looked fishy, on the boat, so he sent it to me one day. I wouldn't even venture what it costs. It's solid brass.
I see. Now, how many people can sleep on this boat?
We have 5 bedrooms, one of which is for the crew. So in actuality, we have 4 plus the crew. We can have 10 people sleep here, but as you can see from the length of the couches, in an emergency, we can accommodate at least 6 or 8 more.
What type of an engine or engines does this boat have?
They're huge. They're the new Detroit diesels, the brand new 1292 TAs. As I said, we decided to upgrade everything. And the boat will do about 24 knots wide open, which is extremely, extremely fast for a boat this size.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to do a little bit of touring to some of the other rooms of the boat, John, and we appreciate the visit, and maybe you can help us out with some narration.
Whenever you wish, take a look. As I said, I'm sure that you left some questions, and I've lived with this boat for 12 years, so I've got them pretty well memorized.
We're down below in the Illusion with John Phillips, and John, even the engines are immaculate, well cleaned and everything. They are huge, and I bet you they do the job. Please explain.
Well, these things, if you don't maintain them and clean them, they begin to show signs of wear and tear. But in addition to having my own crew that has a lot of expertise with them, I regularly use Detroit Diesel's mechanics. Probably about once a month I have them come in and do preventive checks. But the engines themselves are just unbelievable. These large things that you see on top of the engines,
Yes.
are mufflers. They were specially designed in Italy to muffle the sound that the engines would make. They're compartmented so the hot air that goes through them will be not necessarily dissipated, but it will be quieted down, and the noise that would come out of the exhaust is limited to about 15% of what it ordinarily be.
Really something else. Big engines, and they are well maintained. We are now at the helm where all the controls are at, and I'm telling you, that is mind-boggling. A lot of work there.
Well, as someone who, knows what they're all about, it really isn't that difficult. Those are clutches. They're in neutral position at the moment. When you put them forward, assuming that you've got your engines on, the boat will go forward. When you put them back, the boat will go in reverse. And these are like your gas pedals. There being 2 engines, you have 2 sets of controls. With these controls, incidentally, you can turn the boat completely around, literally on a dime, although in addition to these controls, I told you that we have what they call a bow thruster, and that actually moves the boat sideways.
Quite interesting, all of the different techniques. Now, I see many different types of gauges and equipment here on the wall.
That, too, is relatively simple. If you look at the bottom, these are nothing more than switches. And if there's a short or if something goes wrong, one of those switches will go off and shut off the electricity. But this is, as I said, very simple. We have 2 incoming lines, and we distribute those so that the uses are distributed amongst 1 incoming line or a second incoming line. This right now tells me that we're connected, and it also tells me that we're getting approximately 220 volts. However, we can do better when we have all the air conditioners on and a lot of additional uses with our own generators. In fact, when you were down in the engine room, you heard one of the generators working. This tells us we're producing approximately 240 volts, and this tells us how much we're using. The second one is not on. You don't need it. It's just really unnecessary, so we switch. I have an extra one just in case something goes wrong with the other one.
Very good. Good planning.
The top is unique, too. You see these little lights. These are alarm lights. The red, of course, is for fire, which is almost impossible on a diesel ship. And these are for water, which again is almost impossible because you don't have anything below the water line as an outlet or inlet, except the water intakes for the engines and the water intakes for the generators, because they're water cooled. Nobody in the United States has this kind of a device. Obviously, you have to have running lights at night. But the Italians were very, very intelligent, because when you turn the button, put them on, you do not see lights. The only time that a light goes on is if a bulb is burnt. And it's different in America. You have the lights, but you don't know if one goes off or not. These are electronics, ship-to-shore radios.
Phone and, right.
Single sideband, which is used for
Sure.
international calls.
Right.
This
Quite.
implementation is not much different than most ships this size.
Yeah.
And again, it's also relatively simple, although there's
Sure.
a lot of electronics involved. The controls are primarily to let you keep tabs on everything that is going on with the boat.
Hey, Bill, wake up! Come on, we got more of the boat show to see.
Well, you know, each year the boat show is always an excruciating thing, and we're on top of the Illusion, the 85-foot boat here at the boat show, and I just thought I'd take a little bit of a nap and relax, but I see we've got to do more touring and looking around. A big thank you to John Phillips, who owns the boat, who has allowed us to take a look, and I see we have a spacious deck here. We've got a table, plenty of seating room. There's a freezer, cooler, and then, of course, plenty of controls and nice, comfortable seating, and I may be coming back here later today to take another nap. And there is the jacuzzi John Phillips talked about on his 85-foot boat, the Illusion. Inside one of the bedrooms downstairs, towards the back of the Illusion boat here. I'm letting Andy do all the work. It's time for my second nap here. We haven't even left the boat yet. But quite a setup. We have